supported by the Commission of the Public Chamber of the Russian Federation on issues of national security, social and economic conditions of living of servicemen, their family members and veterans. In May 2012, the International Advisory Committee of Organizations of Reserve Officers held the Peace and Friendship Mission international event in Slovakia and Austria. It was participated by delegations representing national and international organizations from 26 countries of Western, Central and Eastern Europe, Asia and the Middle East. The socially significant event was dedicated to the second meeting of the International Advisory Council of Organizations of Reserve Officers, which was established in 2011. To my mind, the establishment of the Organization of Reserve Officers is a globally essential move towards mutual understanding among law enforcement agencies themselves. It is common knowledge that there are no retired or reserve officers. They remain soldiers for the rest of their lives. That is why their awareness and understanding of urgent international developments is, as I see it, extremely urgent. Over a year, the number of the union's members increased more than 2 times. Geography and format of its activities was expanded. With this in mind, a decision to reshape the council structure and to reorganize it into the International Advisory Committee was taken. On the threshold of the meeting, in Austria's capital of Vena, a ceremony of wreath-laying to the memorial of fallen warriors who had sacrificed their lives struggling to liberate Europe from fascism was held. Members of the delegations unanimously believe the memorial sacred to the memory of soldiers fallen in Vienna is an example of respect shown by the city and national authorities to historical memory and feat of valor of servicemen who gave their lives to set Europe free from fascism. This is one of our magnificent symbols of our victory and the liberation of Europe, which is worshipped in the country a lot. During conversations and meetings of the delegations, the session on establishment of the Reserve Officers Club, operating within the framework of the International Advisory Committee, was held in the Austrian capital. Chairman of the Flag Officers Club of the Slovak Republic, František Blanarik, was unanimously elected its president. The club provides for individual membership. Any reserve officer may join it. The club council, along with its chairman, is elected for a term of 5 years and coordinates the organization's activities. Representative offices of the club are being set up in various countries. Goals of the club: to strengthen officers' solidarity and provide mutual assistance and support, to promote world peace and friendship ideas, to support veterans and disabled war veterans. Following a heartfelt and friendly reception in Vienna, an acquaintance with its places of interest, participants of the Peace and Friendship Mission International Action arrived in Bratislava, the capital of the Slovak Republic. Under the auspices of Bratislava's mayor Milan Vtačnik and with an active participation of the Russian side, represented by the National Association of Unions of Reserve Officers of the Armed Forces of Megapir and the Flag Officers Club of the Slovak Republic, the Peace and Friendship Mission Gala evening was held at the theater named after Gvizdislav. Representatives of the organizations of reserve and retired officers, leaders of diplomatic missions of a number of countries, were awarded Officer Solidarity Medals for their active work and a significant contribution to development of the committee. I cordially welcome you at the gala night named Peace and Friendship Mission, which is taking place on the threshold of the second meeting of the International Advisory Council of Organizations of Reserve Officers. The International Advisory Council member states represent over 3 million reserve officers. We consider them being a significant power. We are all convinced that everything possible must be made to prevent wars and conflicts, and our mission is to get the message to politicians, state figures, and whole society. Those taking the floor at the gala evening stated that such actions of the Peace and Friendship Mission were held by people with extensive insight into military affairs. Its main purposes are to strengthen friendship among peoples living in the Eurasian region, to establish cultural ties, bring up the youth in the spirit of patriotism and respect for other nations. Officers are men of war and, like no one else, are aware of a real price for peace. No good fellowship is stronger than that of officers from different countries who saw war and death and experienced combat training and work with soldiers. Our goal is to consolidate the friendship, to hand it down from generation to generation, and keep on doing this as long as we are alive.
We are all glad to be a member of this association.
Our association will take every step to preserve and consolidate peace. To entertain the guests, Russian and foreign artists appeared on the scene with a fascinating performance program. Among those artists, it is worth mentioning young talented performers of one of Russia's leading youth choreographic ensembles, the Grand Prix winner of various international competitions and festivals of the Moscow ensemble named after Loktev, principal singer of Bratislava's Opera House, and other artists. Prospects for further development of the International Advisory Committee of Organizations of Reserve Officers were discussed at the session, which was held at one of Bratislava's biggest parlors.
Прежде всего, я хотел бы поблагодарить еще раз за помощь в организации.
At the outset, I would like once again to thank the veteran organization of Vena officers and our hospitable hosts here in Slovakia and the Flag Officers Club for assistance given us in organizing our events in Vienna. Once again, we have assured that this is a truly competent and authoritative organization that operates indeed both in Slovakia and at the international level.
Которая реально работает как в Словакии, так уже и на международном поприще.
Spokespersons of the meeting unanimously believe that the International Advisory Committee is an ideal dialogue-building foundation for reserve officers, veterans, and organizations from countries with various political systems, different history, and sometimes countries with opposite views.
It's a very important congress with a broad connection of many countries. I think it could be a great future if the activities grew up.
I hope that your organization can do much better work in the future, and all the best. Thank you very much.
The main idea and goal behind the committee's activities is to establish international cooperation, irrespective of political differences, ethnic and cultural contradictions. The organization's complete non-interference in political issues is of particular significance. Anatoly Kumachov addressed the meeting with an annual report on results of activities of the International Advisory Council and further plans of the organization's secretariat. The secretariat also plans to work out and bring into practice a number of new projects. In particular, it is intended to hold scientific and practical conferences, seminars and disputes. Events dedicated to memorable anniversaries and jubilees in the IAC member states, mutual visits designed to establish direct contacts and exchange experience are scheduled to be held. Vice President of the International Advisory Committee and Chairman of the Flag Officers Club of the Slovak Republic, František Blanaric's report, called Officer Traditions, Intercultural Dialogue as a Means of People's Diplomacy, attracted a particular interest of the meeting participants. A decision to admit the Social and Economic Association of Retired Officers and Veterans of Jordan and the Association of Spanish Reservists as new members of the organization was taken at the meeting. Dear friends, while staying here, we are having quite an extensive discussion of issues which relate to veterans. That is why we officially declare that the representatives of Spain in the IAC would be interested in involving veteran organizations in the activities of the committee. Taking into account that the number of member states increased and the geography and format of activities were expanded, the International Advisory Council was reshaped into the International Advisory Committee. The President, Vice Presidents and Secretary General were elected. 5 regional councils were set up. Alexander Kanchin, Russia, was elected President of the International Advisory Committee of Organizations of Reserve Officers, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Mega-Peer National Association of Unions of Reserve Officers of the Armed Forces. Heads of the regional councils responsible for coordination of current activities of participating organizations were elected. Santiago Carrasco Diaz Massa, Vice President, Chairman of the Organizations Council of Western Europe, Spain. František Blanaric, Vice President, Chairman of the Organizations Council of Central Europe, Slovakia. Anatoly Boyko, Vice President, Chairman of the Organizations Council of Eastern Europe, Ukraine. Aitkali Isengulov, Vice President, Chairman of the Organizations Council of Asia, Kazakhstan. Abdul Salam Abdelrahman Hassanat, Vice President, Chairman of the Organizations Council of the Middle East, Jordan. Regular diplomat Anatoly Kumachov, Russia, was elected Secretary General of the International Advisory Committee. The committee presidium, consisting of 3 representatives for each participating state, was set up. Prospects for the organization's extension and admission to membership of officer and veteran unions of North and South Americas, Africa and Southeast Asia were touched upon. I would like to thank officers, people of the highest military ranks, for having protected peace in due time, and you are still defending it.
за то, что вы продолжаете защищать мир.
All the work promotes development of friendship and understanding among peoples. A serviceman knows a real price for peace better than anyone else. Secretary General of the Allied Confederation of Reserve Officers, IACRO-Knut, participating in the meeting, highlighted the importance of establishment of the International Advisory Committee and availability of prospective fields for cooperation.
I think the organization has achieved very much in just 1 year's time. This is my first meeting with this organization, and I think they have covered a lot of ground.
Summarizing the results of the meeting, an address to heads of states and governments, public, veteran, youth and world society was adopted. I believe that following the meeting and taking decisions on a new management system and new structure of the organization, we shall have opportunities to still further expand the geography in terms of structure, territory and fruitfulness of cooperation. New issues being under discussion today must be thoroughly taken into consideration and worked on. Well, I think our organization has a bright future. I think that we must work with the youth more. Youngsters have little or no understanding of war. Our task is to disclose the essence or nature of it, to tell them how it actually was. If we work with the youth effectively, our mission and our activities will see a succession of generations. At the invitation of the Flag Officers Club of the Slovak Republic, the participants of the meeting familiarized with Bratislava's historical monuments as part of the cultural program. All the nations here participated in hostilities and a lot of people died in the battlefield. These were the last weeks of the war. Imagine that young 18-12-year-old soldiers and lieutenants fell in action in April of 1945. We are very thankful to the people of Slovakia and its leadership, and to Austria's people and its authorities, as well as to the people of Hungary and its leaders for memory, for having cherished the monuments, obelisks and taken care of the cemeteries. Summarizing the Peace and Friendship Mission International Action, the Flag Officers Club of the Slovak Republic organized for the guests and participants of the meeting a display of the military historical reconstruction of one of the episodes of the Second World War at the final stage of liberation of Europe from fascism. The Second World War pages for us are to be read and learned. Our activities and work of our committee are designed to prevent any attempts of a new war, which is a disaster for any nation. I wish wars were waged only in the form of training exercises, designed to condition personnel for ceremonial parades that our younger generation and children could see.
Boys too.
The organization is represented by 24 nationalities, army generals, colonel generals, scientists and politicians. All together we state that we must be a unit. In the era of globalization, it is impossible to counter nowadays threats and challenges until joint efforts are taken. That is why it is necessary to rely on one's own experience and capabilities while combating terrorism, spread of drug addiction and other factors posing a total menace for the civilization. Understanding of importance of confidence-building measures and development of mutually important cooperation among countries can never be reached unless the youth gets acquainted with experience and traditions of dignity and honor. Activities of the International Advisory Committee of Organizations of Reserve Officers are aimed at serving this noble mission, and it is ready for cooperation in the field with all people and organizations. The next meeting of the International Advisory Committee of Organizations of Reserve Officers is scheduled for 2013 in Kazakhstan.